Hello students and welcome to Rapid Prototyping. This is series 2, topic number 2 after CNC technology. So we are going to take a start for rapid prototyping processes. What are the different types of rapid prototyping processes, additive, subtractive, etc. And then we will go into the features. Okay, so this is our lectures for today, rapid prototyping. What is rapid prototyping? As the name suggests, rapid means very fast. Okay, and prototyping means to create a model or create a sample of something. Okay, so let's say I've got a mobile phone, okay, and you can see some of the shops have dummy phones and the shapes of dummy phones. Okay, so basically it is a prototype of the actual phone. So prototype is basically just a sample piece, just a first model of your product or a part. So rapid prototyping means that we can quickly create, or we can in a very fast manner create a model prototype. So this is from where the name comes, rapid prototyping. So rapid prototyping is basically a very fast fabrication process in which we can create a very rapid physical model. Okay, we can create some parts, we can create different products, etc. So this basically production or creation of a part is with the help of 3D models. So you will create a 3D model in computer, then you're going to translate that 3D model into the machine, and then the machine is going to create your rapid prototype. So in rapid prototyping, we are going to go through four important sections. Number one is the introduction. Then number two, we have got additive process and subtractive process. So what is the difference between additive and subtractive process? Then we will see what is virtual prototyping. Then we will go through some of the types of rapid prototyping. So let's see what is rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping is basically an early sample or a model that I want to release and market. Okay, so first I want to see it myself how it looks. So that rapid prototype is basically the thing that I want to see how it looks. I can do some testing on it also before I release it into the market. So this process RP, it is in the form or short form called RP, rapid prototyping, is basically a process by which we can create models, parts and tools. So rapid prototyping can create prototypes with the help of CAD, computer aided design software. So I need a software like AutoCAD, like ANSYS, like CATIA, like ProE. So these are some of the what you call softwares by which I can create a 3D model. Then after the creation of 3D model, I can convert it into a physical model by a rapid prototyping machine. So there are various machines available in the market like 3D printing. Nowadays 3D printing is very common. You can buy on Lazada, Shopee, etc. You can buy a selective laser sintering machine that's for industrial usage. Then you can buy a fuse deposition modeling machine. So these are some of the machines that can be used to convert basically a CAD model into an actual model. So if I want to design a phone, then it is very important for me to see how it is going to behave in real world. So the first sample is very important in the design process. That is why rapid prototyping is very important. Now what is virtual prototype? So virtual prototype is basically the model that you create in your AutoCAD software or in your CAD model. Okay, so that model is basically something which is virtual. You cannot play it with hands. It is in computer screen. Okay, it is created on computer, so it is virtual. So that is why virtual prototype is something which cannot be touched physically. So I'm going to always prefer a real product rather than a virtual prototype. So the difference between this is very important, that with virtual prototype I cannot do testing, I cannot physically see it, I cannot put it in market and see how people perceive it. Okay, so that is why the normal rapid prototyping is preferred over virtual prototyping. So let's see what is rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping is basically an early sample or a model that I want to release and market. Okay, so first I want to see it myself how it looks. So that rapid prototype is basically the thing that I want to see how it looks. I can do some testing on it also before I release it into the market. So this process RP, it is in the form or short form called RP, rapid prototyping, is basically a process by which we can create models, parts, and tools. So rapid prototyping can create prototypes with the help of CAD, computer-aided design software. So I need a software like AutoCAD, like ANSYS, like CATIA, like ProE. So these are some of the what you call softwares by which I can create a 3D model. Then after the creation of 3D model, I can convert it into a physical model by a rapid prototyping machine. So there are various machines available in the market like 3D printing. Nowadays, 3D printing is very common. You can buy on Lazada, Shopee, etc. You can buy a selective laser sintering machine that's for industrial usage. Then you can buy a fuse deposition modeling machine. So these are some of the machines that can be used to convert basically a CAD model into an actual model. So, if I want to design a phone, then it is very important for me to see how it is going to behave in real world. So the first sample is very, very important in the design process. That is why rapid prototyping is very, very important. Now, what is virtual prototype? So virtual prototype is basically the model that you create in your AutoCAD software or in your CAD model. Okay, so that model is basically something which is virtual. You cannot play it with hands. It is in computer screen. Okay, it is created on computer, so it is virtual. So that is why virtual prototype is something which cannot be touched physically. So I'm going to always prefer a real product rather than a virtual prototype. So the difference between this is very important, that with virtual prototype, I cannot do testing, I cannot physically see it, I cannot put it in market and see how people perceive it. Okay, so that is why the normal rapid prototyping is preferred over virtual prototyping. So there are two types of rapid prototyping. Number one is subtractive and number two is additive. Okay, so subtractive rapid prototyping involves the ability for basically having a block of material and then reducing the material. Okay, like we did the machining processes like milling, drilling. We have a solid piece of block and then we remove the material to create a part. Okay, so usually all the milling and machining process, they remove material from a large piece of material and the finished product has a solid composition. Okay, so this is basically how subtractive rapid prototyping can be carried out. Now, do remember that either I do milling or I do grinding or I do drilling, it is all computer numeric control, CNC based. Okay. Now that we know what is subtractive rapid prototyping, let's move to additive rapid prototyping. So in additive rapid prototyping, I'm going to add something. Okay, and usually we are going to add something layer by layer by layer. So subtractive prototyping is removal of material. Additive prototyping is basically uh, putting things or adding material or depositing material layer by layer by layer by layer so that we get our final product. Now there are different types of materials that I can do. I can use powders, I can use liquid, I can use solid material, etc. So it depends on the type of rapid prototyping technique that I'm going to use. So we will go through the techniques later on in the slides. So let's see the steps by which we do rapid prototyping process. So first is creating a model. So I will use my AutoCAD or CATIA or ProE software to create a three-dimensional model. Then that three-dimensional model has to be converted into very small triangle for graphic processing. Okay, so those small triangles are basically then converted into an STL file. That STL file is basically a file in which a program it is built. It is a program that basically converts my model, CAD model, into layers. Okay, that model with layers is basically then 3D printed later on. So slicing is very important to create parallel and horizontal layers so that we can create our model. So here is one example of basically creating a lot of layers to create our model. So let's take a look at a video, okay, and see how basically layer by layer deposition is carried out. So here is, so we can create very different and complex shapes. You can see very complex shapes, but we can create it very easily. Okay, it is very easy to create them. How is it created? So you can see a printer head. It is going to move and deposit glue onto the powder. So this is a powder bed. Okay, on this powder bed, I have loose powder. Then I'm going to selectively place glue on above the powder. So when I'm going to selectively place glue on the powder, then they are going to cure and then it will become strong. So that selected powder will create a shape and it will create a model. So if you can see here, this printer head is moving, okay? It is moving and it is putting the glue inside the powder. And then this, we can create prototypes very immediately. So how it is done? So first we have this glue, okay? It is coming out from the printer head, okay? First, we are going to create a 3D CAD model, first step. So we created our 3D CAD model, then we converted it into tessellation or what you call STL file for creating layers, okay? Now this is my machine and I put my powders bed inside, and this is basically the oops, what happened? So the powder is basically put also. Okay, you can see the powder being put. And when the powder, first we put the powder layer, and then we will put the printer head is going to put the glue. So powder layer, then glue layer. Okay. So the print head basically applies the liquid binder, and it is very high precision. Okay. And now you can see that the glue is being put on. So every single powder or every single grain is basically bounded by the bounder. So grain to grain binding takes place. Then a new powder layer will come, and then a new glue will come. Then powder, then glue. So our product is basically produced. So through this, we can create very complex shapes. Its applications are in automotive industries, okay? You can create different types of plastic parts. We can put in aerospace industries. It is immense application. Every single product can be created. After we do the printing, then the loose powder is basically removed later on. So you can see this loose powder, it is basically removed afterwards because only the part which is glued is basically glued and the rest of the powder is loose. So it is basically removed later on. So this was a little bit on layer by layer deposition. So there are three basic types of rapid prototyping process. Number one is liquid based, number two is powder based, and number three is solid based. So when we talk about liquid based rapid prototyping, we have got three basic techniques: stereolithography, also called SLA, solid ground curing SGC, and droplet deposition manufacturing. We are going to cover SLA in our course, stereolithography. So in stereolithography, which is also a liquid-based rapid prototyping system, we initially have a form of material in liquid state, okay? And then we are going to put our glue, or we are going to basically put our curing system so that we can harden or solidify the product. Now there are four important things which are required for this process. Number one is the tank. So we have got a tank here. Okay, this is the tank. Then we have got the platform. This is a platform. Then we have got a laser. Okay, this is a laser head, and this laser head is going to shoot laser beam. So laser is basically light energy which has a lot of energy inside. So that light energy, when it strikes a material, it produces heat. So when it is going to produce heat, it is either going to melt the material or it is going to cure the material. Depends what kind of material is on the powder bed. And then we need a computerized numerical control, CNC, for the laser head and for my platform so that it can move up and down and my laser head can move in X and Y direction. So the process involves basically first designing my part in 3D, okay? Then the software is going to create STL file and it will produce slices, okay? And the slices are around 5 to 10 layers per millimeter. Then the laser is going to paint one layer of the layer, exposing the liquid plastic in the tank and hardening it, okay? So basically I've got this liquid resin inside, okay? And the laser is going to selectively target the liquid and the liquid will become harder. So first layer is created, then second layer is created at specific places. So this process is basically layer by layer, what we call production of a model. So stereo lithography is basically liquid based rapid prototyping process.
Once the liquid thermoset resin is loaded in the vat and the digital instructions are programmed, the laser unit directs an ultraviolet beam to a reflective mirror. From there, a galvomotor system steers the focused beam to the resin surface. First, the laser draws layers of the support structures, followed by actual part geometry. After a layer is imaged on the resin surface, an elevator system shifts the build platform down and a recoater blade moves across the platform to apply the next layer of resin. The process is repeated layer by layer until the build is complete.
Next, we move to solid-based rapid prototyping method. So obviously, we are going to be playing with a solid material. So in the type of solid-based rapid prototyping is called fused deposition modeling, FDM. FDM is called fused deposition modeling. It is also called fused filament fabrication, FFF. Okay, it is one of the most widely used 3D printing process, where basically what we have is we have got let's say a wire, okay, a filament wire, and this filament wire basically goes through a nozzle. So it is going to go through a nozzle. That nozzle is very heated. So when the wire goes through the heated nozzle, it melts, and it melts. So I basically transport the nozzle here and there. Okay, so the melted material is also deposited here and there, and while the basically the filament is basically injected. Okay, so this is one of the diagram for fused deposition modeling printer. So this basically use a thermoplastic filament. So as you can see here, we have got two nozzles. Okay, nozzle number one is support material. So basically, when we are creating a models, okay, and let's say I want to create this model, then this model, if I'm going to create this key, it will fall down if I don't give support. So what I do is I'm going to put some supports below it. So I've got two types of filament. Number one is the support filament, which will support this key, and number two is the one which is going to create the actual model. So I've got two filaments on my nozzle head. Number one is a support material, and number two is the build material. So the build material can be any type of plastic, polymer, resin, etc. Now you can see that this is a solid filament going inside the head. So that is why this is solid-based rapid prototyping process. Now this nozzle system is heated with resistance wire heating. So I've got a resistance wire, and then when the electricity goes through the resistance, it basically creates heat energy. Like water kettle also, you can see that you've got a very large heat resisting element inside. Similarly, we've got resistance heating element inside, and that basically melts the wire, and that wire basically then deposits the material on my part. Now we've got a z-axis for the table, okay, and then this filament is basically fed by basically a rotating what do you call a rotating system, okay, and then the x and y direction of the nozzle head moves. So let's take a look at a video and see how this FDM works. So here we have got a FDM machine, okay. It has got a nozzle head, and this nozzle head is going to move. So let's see how it works. So this is my wire feeding filament. Okay, we have got rolls. You can buy these rolls on Lazada as well for your 3D printer. Nowadays it is very, very common. Fuse deposition modeling, FDM. Next, we move to powder-based rapid prototyping. So liquid-based done, okay, which was stereolithography. Then we went to solid-based, in which we've got a solid filament that is for FDM process. And now we have got powders, so a lot of powders, and those powders we're going to do 3D printing on them or selective laser sintering on them. Remember that you guys learned sintering process in powder metallurgy. So here also is the same concept. In sintering in powder metallurgy, what we did was we had a furnace, and then we put our product inside, and that furnace is going to heat the material so that a bond is formed, atomic level. However, in selective laser sintering, only selected area of the powder, the heat is applied. So the laser energy or the laser beam, basically when it moves and it strikes the material or it strikes the powder, it selectively sinters that powder that I want. So based on the 3D model, it is going to move in that direction where I want to do sintering, and when the laser energy or when the laser beam strikes the material, it creates heat. When it creates heat, then it creates bond. That bond is basically due to the sintering process, and once the bond is created, the product is created. So let's take a look at selective laser sintering process. So in selective laser sintering process, it is basically an alternate to stereolithography. In SLA, we can basically do a lot of materials. We can do metals, we can do polymers, we can do various types of material can be what you call used in SLS technology, okay. These materials are not toxic, okay, and we can use very low power lasers, so the laser will not consume a lot of energy, okay. So low power carbon dioxide lasers, which are cheaper also. In online shopping platforms, you can buy lasers nowadays very cheap as well. Like within 1,000 ringgits, you can buy a laser marking machine also. So in selective laser sintering process, as you can see in the diagram, the laser beam strikes the powder and it hardens or solidifies it, okay. Then what happens is that a roller pushes new amount of material inside. So basically I've got two platforms, okay. Platform number one, I will do sintering. Platform number two, I will deliver the powder. What happens, this is the roller, it goes back, the platform goes up. So in order to create a shape, what happens is that the platform number one goes up, the powder goes up. Then this roller is going to push the powder into platform number two layer, okay. When the powder comes here, then the laser will do the sintering process. Then the laser will switch off. Then this roller will go back. This piston will go up. The extra powder is then pushed onto the second layer. Then the laser will again do the sintering process. So this is how basically selective laser sintering occurs. Let's see a video and see and visualize how the laser strikes and basically creates a solid pattern. So here is a video on SLM process. Okay, SLM. So the SLM machines are quite big actually, and they are very expensive. Okay, for industrial grade usage. So number one step, CAD model. Okay, so they are creating a CAD model. So this is a model of an impeller for a pump. Okay, so they are going to create a lot of pumps in one go, in one shot. So they imported the model into the machine. The machine is going to create layers. Now the powder is being fed into the machine. So this is the powder bed, and the laser is striking the powder now. Here you can see laser is striking the powder in the form of the impeller shape. So this is sintering, and it basically produces heat energy. Here you can see the heat energy is in the form of sparks. So platform number one goes down, then it pushes the material. Okay. Then SLM is carried out. Okay. So this is sequencing of the laser sintering. So now the roller is basically putting the powders on top. This is the internal view of the machine. They are using fiber laser 400 watt to 1 kilowatt laser. So we will see how the parts looks like, but now on the extra powder, we need to remove the powders, okay? So we need this powder, it has to be removed. So they are sucking the powder. So now they have created a turbine impeller or for pumps, I guess. Sometimes they use these types as intercoolers for or turbo for our cars also. So this is our finished product. You can see that it has a powdery texture. So the surface is not very smooth. It has got some texture or powders on it. So many parts can be created by this selective laser melting technique. Turbine blades, aluminum exchangers, etc. So this was all about selective laser melting. There is one more type which is called three-dimensional printing or 3D printing, which is also very common nowadays. Okay, in 3D printing, I basically have got powder, okay, a bed of powder, and I'm going to basically supply liquid on the head, and that liquid resin is going to basically put only the glue. So the part are built layer by layer using inkjet printer. Okay, the printer eject an adhesive bond material onto the powders, and then the binders hold the powders together to form a solid part. Unbonded powder can be then later on removed. So the principle are same for all types of additive manufacturing processes. Here as well, you can see that the powder is deposited, then the inkjet printer is going to put binder on the top, and then what happens is that the powder is put back again and the piston moves down. So as the inkjet printer head moves across the surface, ejected droplets of binder are basically put on those regions that are to become a solid part. When the printing of the current layer is completed, the piston lowers the platform to the next layer. Starting materials in the 3D printing are powder, ceramic metal, ceramides, binder, etc. So this is basically it lowers the platform because the solid parts move down and the powder comes up. So here is an example of okay, this is the same video, sorry. So these were all different types of rapid prototyping, 3D printing, additive manufacturing, laser sintering, etc. Okay. Next, we move to why we want to do this rapid prototyping. Okay. The reason is that designers basically they want to have a real physical model, and then they want to see and visualize it as well how it looks. Okay. And I want to see, okay, this is my model. Oh, there is some problem here. The holes are missing, or I need to basically create a heat transfer area here, or this part is very sharp. When I hold the mobile phone, this is very sharp. I don't like it, or it's very slippery. So these are things which I can feel, and then I know what is the flaw. So this is the reason why uh, RP is very important. So RP can be carried out to basically compare different products. Okay, I can do fluid analysis. Basically, the flow comes and flow exits. Okay, so we can see how much the drag force is produced, how much the lift force is produced. So we can basically analyze our or test our sample based on fluid mechanics. Okay, I can do solid mechanics or stress analysis. I can basically put my RP under stress using tensile testing machine or compression testing machine or bending testing machine or impact testing machine. I can see how my product is going to behave in real life. And then it is going to help doctors in planning the surgery. They can basically fabricate the exact same artery or exact same bone and see that where I'm going to section it or cut it, then how it is going to basically look like or what is going to happen. So rapid prototyping is going to answer a lot of our questions before we put our product in the market. So before putting the product in the market, I have the ability to correct the design. I have the ability to assess the needs of the market. The rapid prototyping is also comes in two types. One is indirect method rapid tooling, and one is direct rapid prototyping. What is rapid tooling? Basically, rapid tooling is basically creating a tool to create a product. So I can quickly create a tool, and using that tool, I can create a rapid prototype product. Okay. So I will use rapid prototyping to create a tool, and that tool can be used to create a product. And so this is called rapid prototyping, rapid tooling. Okay. So we can do rapid tooling or rapid prototyping. They are basically interchangeably used, and they are basically the same thing. Now, as you can see, when we talk about the tool cost and etc., then you can see that in milling, turning, when the tool basically does a lot of products, then it wears out. The cutting edge becomes blunt. So the tool needs to be replaced. So for rapid prototyping, this is not the problem. So it reduces the tooling cost. Then the heads or the jets of the rapid prototyping can be cheaper as well. So like 3D printing is cheap. You can even our normal paper printing, the inkjet, the head is also very cheap, 400 ringgits only. But if you want to buy basically what you call a tool, milling cutting tool made of diamond, made of boron nitride, then it is going to be very expensive. Uh, so rapid tooling basically gives us good tolerance, okay, and but the tool life is limited. The tool which I'm going to make with the rapid prototyping, that tool can be used for only 4 or 5 products only. So after that, we need to scrap up the tool. Now there are some problems with rapid prototyping, like when I'm doing the laser sintering, then the exact dimension cannot be created also. So we have some issues with dimensional tolerances. And also, if I'm going to use polymers or if I'm going to use plastic, then they will not have enough strength. So the mechanical performance is also limited. So this was all about today. What actually is rapid prototyping, from which two words it's come, okay? And what is basically how rapid prototyping help us in real world, okay? What benefits I'm getting from rapid prototyping, why I want to create a model, why I want to create a model, why I want to create a prototype. Okay, that is the question for you guys to ponder over. So this is all about today's